All right. Hello, everybody. We're going to do a quick panel up here about collegiate esports recruiting and really just how we can all come together and make the pipeline from high school to collegiate a lot smoother and a lot more efficient, as many high schoolers and parents are really realizing the opportunities that exist in a lot of colleges across the nation. And I have three great people next to me with great esports programs at some of those colleges that are going to talk and share their experiences about just the recruiting process in general. So I'll start off. I'm Kyle from Stay Plugged In. I was one of the co-founders back about 3.5 years ago when we started in the late 2019. And I'll pass it to Oklahoma Christian, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself and go down the line.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Lucas Hayworth. I'm the Director of Esports at Oklahoma Christian University. We actually started our program about the same time as Stay Plugged In started their business. And I got connected with them very early as I was doing my own research into the recruiting space within collegiate esports. Because recruiting in college is a lot different than recruiting for a job or anything like that, the whole HR side of it versus the college side of it. When you're looking for college and recruiting, you want to know a bit more about the different facets of a college. And I think the most important parts are their academics, their student life, and then the finances that go along with it. You want to make sure that you're providing a great opportunity for students. That's our goal, while making sure to keep in mind all the main value adds that college would bring to somebody looking to go and compete, rather than just playing from their own house with their parents. So that's kind of like the whole faucet. And just to give a brief introduction, we're a college that's housed under athletics. We have scholarships, we have a facility, we have a recruiting platform, partnership with Stay Plugged In, et cetera, et cetera. And we have nationally ranked titles. We're ranked number 3 in the nation for Valorant, 2 in the nation for Call of Duty, 2 in the nation for Halo, 8 in the nation for Rainbow Six Siege, and we're building platforms and activations in multiple titles as well. All right, I'm gonna pass the mic to my right here.
Hi everyone, I'm Justin Ellis. I'm the Director of Esports at Huntingdon College in Montgomery, Alabama. We're actually a new program. Our first season will be this fall, so we'll be up and coming. We'll be chasing down people like these guys on each side of me, but I have recently our team at about 28 total students for our first season. We also have built an esports facility now with a 286-person spectator space. So we've really come along to not only have a space to allow for students to come compete, but also for students to come and share in that wealth and that space and be able to experience it for themselves firsthand and give the feel of what a LAN event is really like for every single day. So Huntingdon, we are also housed in athletics. We do also offer scholarships, and we're always looking for new students. We're fielding about 11 different titles right now. And you know, as far as recruiting goes, I'll say recruiting is all about just trying to find opportunities and for students to seek those opportunities. And I was also someone who reached out to Stay Plugged In very early in our process, and being able to use resources like Stay Plugged In, but also be able to find direct correlations and opportunities to talk to directors like us outside of those applications, you know, is a really big part of the recruiting process. And to take advantage of meeting directors like us and getting to talk to directors like us, both in a platform and outside of a platform, you know, that's really what I always think we're looking for out here.
Hi everybody, my name is Kaitlin Teniente. I'm the Director of Esports at St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas. And for us, we just completed our 3rd full year of competition as a program. Similar to my colleagues up here, we are also housed in athletics. We are the 12th sport to be added out of 13. The varsity titles that we offer are Call of Duty, Fortnite, League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, and Valorant. And for us, when it comes to recruiting, one of the things that I say to a lot of students when they try out is, tryouts is definitely an opportunity for us coaches to scout you, but it's also a great opportunity for you as a student to scout our program and get a feel for the program, the coaches, your potential teammates, and it's the same thing when we're recruiting. You know, when you consider St. Mary's, we want to make sure it's going to check all the boxes that you're looking for. Like my colleagues have said up here, it's student life, it's what you want to study, the opportunities that are available to you on campus, and of course, finding the way or the creative solutions to pay for it all.
Awesome. Thank you for all those introductions and some brief tidbits about recruiting. And I agree with all of you. One of the things we always say about recruiting that Kaitlin just touched on is it's about that best fit, right? It is not just about how much scholarship you're going to see or going to get, which, if you believed what Twitter said, might be the only thing that matters in the recruiting world if Twitter was the end-all be-all. But we all know scholarship's important, not going to discount that, right? College is expensive, and any way to bring that down is good. But there's so much more that goes into your decision about being happy on that campus for 4 years, because that should be the goal, right? I want to go somewhere for 4 years, maybe 5, if one of the years is a little rough. But I want to be there for 4 years. I want to be happy while I'm there for those 4 years and really enjoy my experience, knowing that, hey, I'm going to be able to graduate with a great degree, and if professional esports doesn't work out for me, just like traditional sports, then I can get a job in something that I also really love, and maybe even the esports world as well. So my first question for y'all, really for all those high schoolers out there as they're finishing up some of their matches and their parents, what should a high school player be focusing on to really make themselves stand out as a potential recruit for, what are some of those things when you see XYZ thing in a player, you're like, wow, that's a person I really want to look into and potentially recruit, and that really makes them shine. And we'll go in reverse order. So we'll start with Kaitlin and kind of go back down.
So the list of criteria that I look at, it might be a little bit different, but honestly, number one on my list is showing up. Are you showing up on time or are you early? Because if you're early, I personally love that. The next thing that I look for is communication. How do you communicate with your coach, with your teammates, with your opponents? Are you somebody that is trying to lift up your teammates, a beacon of positivity, or not so much? Those are definitely the things that I take note of. Some of the other things are, positive attitude and how you rebound from a bad map or a bad game overall or a bad match. Are you looking for ways to improve and, you tell yourself, all right, I'm going to do this different or X, Y, and Z? Or do you shut down and not try to grow? I mean, that to me is one of those things that we look at. And again, some of the things that we take note of are, how do you behave in both victory and defeat? Is it good sportsmanlike conduct or not so much? And after we get through those, then it's the in-game ranking and your skills and the areas you want to improve on. But before that, it's everything that it takes to just get to the match. Because if you can do all those things to get to the match now as a high school student, odds are you're going to put in the same care and it takes when you're in college and on a college team.
Communication. I'm going to say communication is first and foremost basically the whole agenda for me when I'm talking with a student, because you got to be, responsive to messages, and obviously I know high schoolers have quite a bit going on, so I can't expect an immediate response all the time, but being able to know that within a week, I'm going to get a response from you. Those are things I'm looking for, because communication is so important while being part of a team, because you need to be able to communicate not only with your team during a game, but I need to communicate with you so that you know your schedule, so I know you're going to show up to the right places at the right time. I'm looking for people who, can handle some time management skills, and you develop those in college too, but to be able to come in with some of that, I think is really important to me in my players. And like you said, you get onto the ranks and the stuff later on, but I'm looking for some of the intangible things ultimately. I want students who are going to be well-rounded and not only communicate but also be members of our community. I want students who come here, and esports is a great part that supplements some of their education. It's something that allows them opportunities during their time in college, but I also want our students who I think are going to be involved on campus as a whole. I want people who are, maybe they're going to help run an event on campus for our gamers. I'm always looking for those opportunities for students who are actively looking to be engaged in the campus community and be part of bettering the campus community. I think those are really important things to me when I'm talking to any player, because I want students who are going to have an involved experience on our campus.
I'm inclined to agree. I think most of those are pretty good. I think that there's a whole faucet of competition that definitely gets overlooked from the top down sometimes by colleges. And from that, the intangibles are perfect. I think everyone kind of falls into line in that sense, and there's a sense of community and a sense of intrigue and a sense of interest that if you're looking at college in the first place, that's kind of a given. And so when I'm looking for a student that's wanting to stand out, having them contact me first is obviously standout number one. If you are proactive and you reach out to a college, even if you don't know anything about them and you're just trying to get some surface level knowledge, being proactive and reaching out is definitely the best way by bar none, to stand out to a college. And that will definitely 100% get you a meeting. With that, in terms of competition, if you're wanting to stand out, I'm just going to run through a few games that we support and knowing the top-down structure of. For Valorant, I'm looking for a VLR statistic. I'm trying to make sure that you know competition, you know that ranked is different from competitive, et cetera, et cetera. For Overwatch, I'm looking for OD experience, Pro-Am experience, Contenders experience, if you have any World Cup trials, that kind of stuff. For CSGO, I'm wanting to know your ESEA placements, your FACEIT division, have you played Mythic, do you know MDL, that kind of stuff. For Rocket League, I'm wanting to know your 6-man's rank alongside your 3's rank. I want to know what kind of RLCS qual placements you've had, all of those different types of competitive natures that we're looking for alongside the intangibles in a student. I think competition is still very valuable. It's what sets us apart as college esports and not just a college program. And so I try to make sure to place a lot of value in the competitive side of things. And I think the support staff side is what some of my colleagues have mentioned, like TOing, graphic design, social media, videography, etc. All those are amazing. I would love to support that, but I'm not going to be actively searching for that. I'm going to want somebody that's actually genuinely interested and will proactively reach out to me about that and ask me, hey, do you have this? Can I have resources to build that with you? Can I do this alongside your program and find good value not only for myself, but for you and your program through the experience of being in a college esports program? So I think all the intangibles of going to college, perfect. The competitive nature of wanting to go into college esports, amazing. And then if you want to stand out even further, be proactive and ask the question first.
Yeah, it's a lot of when we talk about just applying to college at a base level, right? There's a lot that goes into it. You need to make sure you have your test scores collected, make sure you have your GPA in the right spot, your academic transcripts, right? It's not just go on Twitter, post, and pray, right? You know, there's a lot to package yourself to get all the information so you can hand it to a college and start that recruiting conversation and go from there, right? So all really good points. Moving on to my next question, as we look at that pipeway or that pathway from high school to collegiate, what are some things that y'all think might be missing in today's industry that if we were able to build them collectively as a community would make that pathway easier to transverse for many students out there? And we'll go same original order, reverse, but yeah, we'll start with you.
That's a good question. There are many different small little niche crooks and nannies that are never going to be covered or will be rarely covered. I think the best way right now that we can implement something new, and feedback that I've given the platform even, on establishing a next level or another layer to the pipeline is creating longer lasting relationships from the K through 12 level. And so not only establishing a high school esports event like this that provides us an opportunity and providing a booth, stuff like that, to connect students from all levels of high school. I think I think middle school is here as well, and that's kind of the direction I was saying. If you can start creating a pipeline that's more natural, for example, I'm from Oklahoma. We have Boomer Sooner, OU, and OSU rivalries, and everyone born in the state of Oklahoma knows what those two colleges are because they've been engrossed in the culture surrounding those two colleges, the rivalry, the storylines, everything that makes sports fun from a spectator's POV. That is completely missing at the K through 12 level and getting them involved in a collegiate space for spectating, for participation, for different activations and events. All that stuff is what colleges, that's part of our job, is to create those activations, that experience for the students of the next generation. That way, you're not looking just right now with the senior class, you're also establishing a relationship with families in your local area, establishing more long-term presence in that space, just like what we have with traditional colleges right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to expand on that point, we see that so much in traditional sports of just summer camps. Something as simple as that, of getting them on campus, feeling what college is. And even, I remember when I went to a college camp just locally when I was, I think, in 7th grade, that kind of wow factor of like, wow, this will be me in 6 or 7 years. And when you're 12, you think that's like, you know, eons away. But it's really not, right? It's really right around the corner for these kids as they continue to grow up. So that's really awesome to see that pipeline, you know, in your vision, expand past just high school to college. And, hey, how do we start to create that intrinsic value I remember, as another example, when I played basically coach pitch when I was 8 or 9 years old in baseball, people still talked about getting recruited by some of the ACC schools for baseball, right? Hey, you got to start focusing on training and getting better so that you can go to college one day, right? And you're 8, 9, 10 years old playing traditional sports, and college is already being talked about, right? Rather in esports, granted, it's still very new. It's no one's fault. It's still, that conversation doesn't really happen until most of the times your senior year, if you're lucky, your junior year, from a widespread fashion. So, Justin?
Yeah, I think you kind of stole mine a tiny bit, was talking to students earlier from the high school to the colleges level. Because, you sometimes see in traditional sports, you'll see a baseball player have a scholarship and commit to a school freshman year of high school. They'll already be set up. They'll already be done. And, I can't give my full opinion on how I feel about that one. But I will say, as far as colleges go, having the initial conversations and high schoolers and high schools building those connections earlier. And I think along with that, for high schools to develop, they need stronger faculty and staff who are not just volunteering their time, but are probably being paid a bit to run these esports programs, because I see directors run 60-person high school programs and not get anything for it. And the amount of labor that they put into it is absolutely insane. And when I talk to high school directors, they're like, yeah, I can't answer to your emails. I'm too busy. I'm doing something else. And I talk to them in person. They're like, yeah, I would love to talk to you about these students, but ultimately I don't have the broadband personally to have time for all of that. So I really think to see, kind of the scholastic level evolve and that pipeline evolve and the connections between high schools and colleges, I think there's a time that has to be said about, like other coaches on campuses, teachers need to have a bit more respect, and those advisors need to have a bit more respect that they are coaches and need to be treated as such by their schools and programs, so that there is a foster connection and that it is taken competitively and more seriously at that level by doing so.
Yeah, I absolutely fully agree. Just to quickly expand on that, the best way that I can equate it, I go back to traditional sports, is where a lot of my background is from a competitive perspective. But the closest is football, right? A football team in high school has about 50 or 60 kids, right? I played football in high school. We had 12 coaches, and they were all paid, right? Now, some was part-time. Some was just, they had other jobs, and they came to school to coach after their day job or whatever. Some were teachers in the school they got a bonus, right? 10, 15K, whatever it is, on top of their teacher's salary. But they were paid to be there, and they had responsibilities, right? And then all of a sudden, the dynamic changes. So I fully agree with, we need to see more establishment. And it's the same on the collegiate level, right? There's so many directors where you're the director of 7 games, right? It's like the athletic director doesn't coach football or baseball or basketball, right? There's a head coach of football, there's a head coach of baseball, and there's usually an athletic director and usually an assistant athletic director, among other positions in bigger schools and with bigger programs. So fully agree. We're starting to see it fully expand, but as that continues to expand, should make recruiting a lot more, efficient, because people will be more in charge of, hey, I need to recruit, and others will be like, no, I need to run the program, and you start to see that diversify a little bit. So it'll be good. Kaitlin?
I agree. I think everything that y'all said is true. If we want the investment in K through 12 and to not just build that pipeline, but to make it long lasting, it is the educators that are really the key, because they are the biggest advocates for their students. And so getting them the resources, the support, the recognition, the pay that they deserve, I think that is crucial and essential. Additionally, I think one of the things that is needed, especially long term, is more conversations and more action about accessibility. Esports can be hard to access if it's not built into the school that you're going to, if it's not part of any local community that you're in, whether that be like your YMCA or your local church or community center. So I think part of it too is building out some of those opportunities for students to get involved, not just at their school, but in their communities. Because esports is expensive. High-end PCs and consoles, that costs money. And high-speed internet, that also costs money. So if we can help lower that monetary barrier, even just a little bit, like bit by bit, I think that'll go a long way. And I think that ties into the summer camp aspect on campus. We've got sports camps for just about anything and everything under our umbrella. And so I think esports can exist there as well. because it is part of another opportunity to get involved. So I think we're on the right track. I mean, all of this sounds pretty good, and I know these things are in the works.
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing about when I do a lot of these panels. You know, all our ideas, they're already growing, right? We just need more support, more continued kind of focus on some of those things, and it's only going to bolster more, right? But I love that the direction of the industry where we are today is very positive for Scholastic Esports, right? Professional esports, on the other hand, they need to change some things. But Scholastic Esports is only getting bigger, it's only getting better, and now that, you know, more and more people are coming in with these great ideas and implementing them and making the change, we're seeing this so much, just like the three of you all do at your respective programs, which is awesome, to say the least. And I agree with you, Kaitlin, about the accessibility. One of the cool things that we're helping out in Charlotte back home from where we are, a lot of recreation centers, rec centers, right, which are open to the public, they're doing arena build-outs. They're putting 20 PCs in there. They have the internet, where some of these lower income communities, they still have a place to play. Those high schools in those communities have a place to practice. So do the middle schools. So they don't have to rely on, you know, one of the teammates doesn't have access to internet at home one random night because the bill was late or something, and all of a sudden you have to forfeit your match because you're down a player. So stuff like that, it's becoming prevalent everywhere. Love to see the focus on it from A to Z. We are running out of time here, so I'll leave it with just parting thoughts. You know, if there's one thing, I'll just say in Scholastic Esports in general, that you guys like to see either made better or changed or be created, what is that one thing? You know, positive things only. I don't want to be super negative here on anything might be a negative topic, but like, what's one thing that you would love to see in Scholastic? High school, middle school, college, anything? We'll start with Kaitlin.
I love seeing more girls get involved. I think it's awesome, and just talking with so many of these educators, I love seeing their passion for all of their students and just how much encouragement they give to all of their students, because esports truly is an even playing field. You don't have to be like a traditional athlete to compete, and I think that's one of the things that I love about it, is just the support for younger students that I don't think I even thought that was possible when I was in high school or middle school, and so I love seeing that change.
I would say the one thing I love is seeing the growth in recognition that students are getting personally. You know, students do a lot of hard work in their games. They do a lot to succeed. They try their best out there, but now they're actually getting recognized for what they're doing. Because before then, you know, these students were all, you know, mostly of them were just playing at their home. They were playing online. You know, they knew what they were doing, and people in the online communities might have known, but now people, like, in their actual day-to-day lives are taking notice of their accomplishments. And we've seen that throughout the events this weekend. And I know I've talked to a couple high schools who said they've done like watch parties at their schools and stuff like that. And I think that's absolutely fantastic that there's that level of recognition. And I can't wait for that recognition to be taken to the next level, where it's not only putting eyes on the accomplishments that students do, but also providing a bit more for what the students do and what they're accomplishing. Because yes, it's helping out a lot of these schools because they're getting eyes and recognition, especially at the high school level now. But I'm looking for the next push there, so that there's a recognition that goes not just talking the talk and showing a bit more of that.
I think one of the most important things to think about when a collegiate environment is the student experience that they want to commit to for the full year, the full 4 years that they want to go to a specific school. And the traditional in-person experience that schools like ours provide is truly the actual benefit that a student gets from going to college. The degree, the piece of paper that you earn, regardless pretty much of what degree it might be in, is truly only about 5 to 15% of the value that you get out of going to college. And getting into a real in-person, full-fledged campus is a true benefit and value add to a student's experience. And not only that, their performance, being able to see their teammates live in person, hopefully at a facility, and that it's equipped and well-staffed as well, is yet another benefit that you can get from going to a traditional in-person campus. And I am very glad and blessed to be a part of that, and to have myself been a part of that, because I understand that, yes, I got my degree, and that's a nice 15% of the value of college, but capitalizing on everything else, whether it be networking, whether it be the in-person soft skill experiences that you get to develop, whether it be long-lasting, lifelong friendships and potential business partnerships that you can create while being in college, all the other value adds of going to an in-person experience are what truly sets apart esports and online experiences, because you can do an online experience anywhere without needing to go to college. And so going to college, I think, is part of that experience, physically going to that college. So I think highlighting that is just super important.
Yeah, totally agree with all three of your points. Great points to touch on all of them. For Lucas's, I remember a lot of the things I learned in college was outside of the classroom, right? Your growth development years from 17 to 21, those are some of the most important years biologically, and it's a scientifically proven fact for development, right? Your social skills, your ability to learn, let me say that differently. Your ability to understand how to learn at a professional level is very different than in K through 12, right? So stuff like that, fully agree. There's a really cool video on Justin's point that I saw on Twitter. I've seen a few of them now, but one stuck out where they had a school, I think it was over in the Midwest somewhere, I forget what school it was. They had a pep rally for their League of Legends team. They all had their jerseys on. They had a pep rally just like you do for basketball, football, other sports when they have a game day, because they were going into a big, they were playing the rival in their hometown. So the rivalries that exist from traditional sports all these years, now it's seeing that there be a pep rally for their League of Legends team, for the League of Legends match, and there were students everywhere cheering. They understood what was happening. They may not have fully understood League of Legends, but they knew that, hey, we're playing our rival and we want to win, right? So seeing that adopted is super awesome. And then for Kaitlin's point about females and gaming, absolutely incredible, right? Tearing down those barriers and removing that toxicity of this being a male-driven thing, A, should never exist in the first place. B, it is being eradicated quickly. And even we had today in our Valorant competition, we had a full female team that came from a local high school. So seeing more and more of that being adopted, and for people like Kaitlin pioneering that space, it's super awesome. So I think that's all the time we have for our panel. Thank y'all for joining me up here to talk about collegiate and scholastic esports and how we can make that pipeline better in the recruiting sense. For all those watching from home, thank you. If you have any questions, I'm sure they'll put our information in the bio or description or whatever. Feel free to reach out to us about anything.